Feel free to file this under I didn't think that I was going to be talking about this today. I was just doing a live stream earlier, and I was trying, and I was informed while I was doing my live stream that they updated Discord with the balance changes. If you aren't following Rush Royale on Discord, you should probably do that. They do all the drops there, and then you can read all of this as I go through it. But I also didn't want to. So I didn't want to talk about it on stream because that's normally what I do in a video like this. But then I thought that I could do that and then just create a smaller video later. And this is that smaller video. If you do want to know like my entire full thoughts and my entire read through of the entire thing, it's on my YouTube channel. It's the stream that I just did. I just posted it. It's the stream titled What Do I Even Use? At 58:02, I believe that's when it drops. And then I start going through it for an extended period of time. It's a really long time. I believe that there are 2 major ups and 1 major down, and everything else is kind of like, I don't know, things that I just don't necessarily care about. I will touch on them, but I do want to talk about the 2 major ups and the 1 major down. I'll do the 2 major ups first, and that is Banshee. Banshee is something that I've always looked over because everybody has, because it wasn't good. I trust that it was very good early on in the same way that Boreas Grindstone is good early on. But for a mid-tier level player, and once you start being able to get better damage through other things, it wasn't something that I ever saw in my area of play. I feel like in Arena and in leagues like League 3, League 4, maybe you would see it, but from my experience, I never saw anybody playing Banshee. That's also because not a lot of people have like a level 15 Banshee, and when you get to like the arena of play that I'm in, most people are running level 15 legendaries. And if you don't have a level 15 legendary, your deck is just considerably worse. But the buff in Banshee is insane. The damage increase with a level going from 14 to 18% doesn't sound like a lot, but any buff is better than what it currently is. If you didn't know how Banshee works, it gains damage in level, not in, it has no mana power up, and it doesn't have a different way of gaining power. And what I mean by that is Harbinger of Evil. All of the cultists gain damage through that. Banshee never had a mechanic like that. And so the only way for it to gain damage was through level ups. So if I go find my Banshee here, at level 8, you're doing 142 damage. The mana level never mattered because the mana activation is the activation of activating all the Banshees to do the whale. And then when you level it up from 1 to 2, you're getting plus 143 damage. And then you're getting plus 285 damage when it's at 3. And then, and then you're getting 428 damage when it's a 4. And then that damage scales to your Banshee level, and that is how you're doing more damage. Increasing that percentage from 14 to 18 is gonna incredibly increase its damage. But the real thing that I want to talk about is reducing the activation of the ability from 30 seconds to 20 seconds. Being able to activate in a minute 3 activations as opposed to just 2 is huge. And when you combine that with Growing Anger, which was my actual reasoning for wanting to even theoretically run a Banshee, if you, again, you probably don't know, the way that Growing Anger works Using the active ability, it has a 5% chance of increasing the merge rank of the lowest merge rank Banshee. The way that currently works in the update, or that's how it currently works, the way that it's gonna work in the update, that 5% chance starts at 10% chance. And then the chance will then increase for each by 5% for each Banshee on the field. Solitude is the better of the two things to run. And so you'll want 4 Banshees on the field. It'll start at 10 and increase by 5 for every 5% for each Banshee on the field. So I'm pretty sure if it starts at 10%, if you have 1 Banshee on the field, it's 15%, and then it's 20%, 25%, 30%. You have a 30% chance of increasing a level of a Banshee every single activation, and you can activate that every 20 seconds. So you're just going to keep wanting to push the button every single time, and it's going to be a 30% chance, if I'm doing my math right, and if I'm reading it correctly. I think that that's a pretty good chance. Being able to just set up your Banshees on the field, and then early on in the game when you're dealing enough damage, being able to just press the activation button and leveling up your Banshee like that allows you to theoretically not have to run Scrapper. It allows you to theoretically not have to run Dryad, at which point you can create a Banshee deck that's just support cards. You can create a Banshee deck that's summoners, so that you get extra Banshees in the center, so that you can get the extra orbs. It allows you to do so much more with your, you have so many more options with your deck building. Decay was also the talent that was most used, and they increased the health limit for the instant boss kill from 15 to 20%. It was never bad before, but now it's even better. So Decay is the of the two talents, the Decay is the better one. Monsters with the Banshee radius die at 25% health, and then they're increasing when bosses die from 15 to 20. So it'll be 25% health for monsters and 20% health for bosses, which is insane. But yeah, like, I think that the changes in Banshee, including and especially the reducing the activated ability to go to 20 seconds is huge for it. I think you're gonna see a lot more Banshee in the next patch, or in the next update. I think you're gonna see a lot more Banshee if people have it at a reasonable level. But the card that I'm the most excited for is Monk. So it also gained where the active ability is, it goes from 30 seconds to 20 seconds. And so, like I just stated, the 20-second, being able to activate it every 20 seconds allows you to activate it 3 times a minute. And they also changed Equilibrium. Also, every activation that you're doing, not only is it giving all of your monks speed, but monks at intersection now do area damage equal to 25% of the attack power. So, not only are you able to activate it more, you're now able to do area damage, and you're getting the speed. And then Orb of Equilibrium, they completely changed the functionality for, to the point where it's basically like the change in functionality on Mermaid. Orb Equilibrium was terrible. Equilibrium before, the way that it worked was it just decided to attach itself to a random a random monk, and the way that it would work is if that monk that had the Orb of Equilibrium was upgraded, that's when you would get the percentage boost. Now, it has the ability to spawn on a monk in an intersection. And if it does, it automatically gets absorbed, giving you 3% of a bonus. Where after 30 orbs, every time you eat one, it's only giving you a 1% bonus. Let me explain to you why this is absolutely mind-blowing. If you were to build a board, if you were to do a full board monk, right? Your full board monk has the activated ability every 20 seconds. You're dealing better speed, better attack. If you run equilibrium, every single monk is an intersection monk. So every single time it spawns in, it automatically gets absorbed. You're gaining 3% per orb up to 30%. And then you get 1% after that for the rest of the game. And then with illumination, as opposed to the original one, tranquility, if you're using illumination instead, what you can do is sit there with a mermaid, like a level 5 mermaid, and then press the button, and they changed it to, instead of lowest ranked monk, to a random monk. You just sit there with a full board monk field that you can totally Harley Quinn and leave, and then your mermaid bubbles will remove that debuff. Your illumination will every single time, every 20 seconds, you'll be able to upgrade a monk. Equilibrium will give you increased damage over the course of the game forever that you automatically just obtain just by sitting there. It literally becomes an I'm gonna sit here for the rest of the game and press the button deck. That's all it is. It's just like monk activation, mermaid. Monk activation, mermaid. It's dumb. So it also fixed the problem of that the monk never had like area of effect damage. So now if you full board monk, every single thing is an intersection monk. So they all have area of effect damage every time you press the button. Something is going to upgrade, so that's increasing your power. Equilibrium is increasing your power. Mermaid with bubbles is protecting your entire field. And then illumination is leveling up everything over the course of the game. It's to the point where you don't even need these other two talents. And then these other two talents are just giving you like more. It's insane. What they did for Monk and Banshee are going to push that into the Blade Dancer Cultist meta. Like those are going to now be like real cards. Where once they nerfed Monk, the Monk Shield, a lot less people played it. I think with these buffs, everybody's going to play this now. Because it just sounds like very stupidly easy to play. I had a lot of things that I was just like okay with. There were a couple things that I felt like they were just trying to make other talents better, and it's not going to make other people change talents. One of those is Bruiser, and one of those is Frost. The opposite side talents that nobody ever used, they buffed, and I feel like people are still not going to use those. I didn't realize how bad Falling Star was until I read this and what they're changing and why. And then I realized that Falling Star was just terrible. So maybe theoretically people will start using this. I think that's the biggest like chance that somebody might use it. With Witch, they decided to increase Magic Circle, but I still don't think people are going to run Magic Circle. You'd rather run the thing that gives them a Witch tile. And then they increased Gift of the Raven from 10 to 15%. We're going to have to see how good Night Statue is with talents. If Night Statue is as good as I think it will be, I don't think people are going to sub out Witch. I think you'd rather just at that point use Night Statue. But if you don't want to run Scrapper, because with Night Statue you kind of have to run Scrapper. If you don't want to run Scrapper and you'd rather just summon in and combine out things, I think Witch might be like a reasonable option. The problem with putting it in decks that they've described, like a robot deck, is that you then have to determine whether or not you want to Harley Quinn your robots or whether you want to Harley Quinn your Witch, because you can't do both at the same time. And if you do one and not the other, your deck is weaker for either reason. Like if you do robot like a bunch, then you're not getting any benefit out of your witch. If you're doing witch a bunch, then you don't have enough robots to combat that damage. I don't know if it's going to become anything. I don't think it's going to become anything. And that's how I feel about that. I don't think that the Trapper nerf is that amazing. It did get nerfed, but I still think people are going to run it. I don't think it's not nerfed to the ground or anything. Summoner, I don't think you'll feel, if you're not playing against max summoners, I don't think that you'll even notice that this was even a change. Changing the Oracle spawn rate from 30 to 25% is something, but I don't think you were ever like in a game with the summoner if you had the level 9 talent hoping that you got more oracles. I don't think that was ever like a major reason if the level 9 talent was the only thing you had unlocked. I think that'll change again, like I said, if with max summoners, which is what they were trying to do. I guess max summoners with max talents, it was going crazy. And so they changed the Oracle spawn rate so that you don't get the better effect all that often. But unless you were playing against or playing with a max summoner, you're not even going to notice this change. The Demon Hunter negative. I said that there were 2 positives and 1 major negative. The Demon Hunter nerf is not the one that I was talking about. I think that the damage nerf it was necessary. They increased absorption of evil a little bit. It's not too much. The 1 to 1.2% per stack is not an amazing buff, and that's the absorption of evil was the one that most people didn't even run anyway, and that's why they did it, so that maybe people would run absorption of evil. But the Twilight Hunting reduction, I think that was necessary. The thing that really caught me by surprise was the Cloak of Shadows nerf. The Purify chance from 25 to 20%, if you thought it was terrible before, it's even worse now. And that was the change that I thought was unnecessary. If anything, I thought that it would need a buff, especially because you only get the Purify chance if something happens to it. So if, for example, if you get Dark Priested, and it doesn't work, like the Purify chance doesn't work, then that needs to get negative affected again to get another Purify chance. And that's terrible. It's a terrible way to cleanse. It's very inefficient. And if you're not running something like an Approving Look Enchant Sword or a Mermaid, this entire patch is going to make Mermaid even better. Because with the Cloak of Shadows being that much worse, running Mermaid is going to become that much more essential. But the really big one, that's the biggest negative, is Enchant Sword. It's just terrible now. Essentially, there is no awakened Enchant Sword anymore. You do not have an Enchant Sword that just has the ability to sit on the field and give random things buffs. And I'll tell you right now, the way that people were running Enchant Sword, they were trying to run it in every deck, including Monk decks, including Blade Dancer decks, and it was reasonably difficult before to give everything 10 stacks. Now, even if you get the 10 stacks onto something, which is now even harder, the 10 stacks will now give you 3% as a crit chance bonus and no speed bonus with the Approving Look. They took the speed bonus off of Approving Look. So literally the only thing that you're getting is a boost to damage, which is now lower. And you're getting a crit chance boost, which is again now lower. So the benefit of getting all 10 stacks onto something is not a lot. It's going to be incredibly difficult to get stacks onto things because when you merge 2 enchant swords, it used to give you 3. Now it gives you 2. If you're running the Awakened Sword, you have a chance of getting special swords that sit there and do nothing. When you merge a special sword, you get 3, which is what you currently get off of merges right now, but you will then be getting 3. I don't know if you've ever tried running Enchant Sword when it was a level 7 or below, level 7, level 8, or level 9 when you didn't activate the talent, but how difficult was it to get stacks on things simply by merging Enchant Swords? That's currently, that's going to be what it is now, and I don't think it's worth it. I think the amount of trouble that you will have to go through to get stacks on things is not worth it anymore. And I think they nerfed Sword to the ground. And I think that if they... I think after this patch, maybe sometime in between or maybe during the next patch, they'll rethink some of these decisions. Because as is, I want to say that Sword is unplayable. The benefit to getting 10 stacks is not that great. And the amount of work that you'd have to put into it in order for it to happen is a lot. To get 10 stacks on anything, you literally have to hope and merge 10 times. Without an Awakened Sword, without a sword to give you passive stuff, because they decided to change Scornful Look, which used to be the stun mechanic for Sword. They changed it to once per wave when a boss spawns, a random blue sword and random red sword will apply the effect. So it's kind of like having an Awakened Sword, but that's once per wave, and that's only when a boss spawns. And then it gives a random thing, a blue sword and a red sword, or a blue sword and a red sword effect will happen. And that's a singular thing. If you are running Dark Inquisitor, for example, it was difficult before to set up your board to where you had an Awakened Sword and a Dark Inquisitor. Now, you don't have that option, and now you literally have to summon in 2 Enchant Swords, merge them, get 1 stack, summon in 2 more Enchant Swords, merge them, get 1 more stack. You have to do it that way. And to get 10 stacks onto something is hard. And that's why the Awakened Sword was so good. But if you've been playing the game for any period of time, you'll realize that even with an Awakened Sword, it wasn't enough. Like when you're trying to use it in decks like a Twilight Hunting deck, or a Blade Dancer, a 7 Blade Dancer deck, or a full board Monk deck, right? Even that was terrible. Now you can't even do that. And so to try to use Sword in the like level 7 way, or in the level 8 way, and try to buff up your board like that now, and you're only every time you merge a thing, you're only giving 2 things a buff, because it's not 3 anymore either. So even the chance to get the orb on a unit that you want, and not a Dryad and not a Harley Quinn, is gonna be insane. So my 2 major buffs are Banshee and Monk, but my big major down is definitely the Zenchant Sword. I think everything else is kind of in the middle, but those are my thoughts. Let me know down in the comments, what are your thoughts?